Yo, what is up? Yeah, this is Sean, and today we're talking about Render, which is one of those platforms, that sits quietly in the background, of a lot of modern apps. It is not flashy, it is not, marketed to beginners, and it's definitely not trying to be everything at once. But Render exists to solve a very specific problem, which is, making it easier, to deploy and run backend services, APIs, and full stack apps, without managing servers manually. So at its core, Render is a cloud hosting platform. You use it to deploy things like web services, APIs, background workers, static sites, databases, and some cron jobs. But instead of setting up infrastructure yourself on something like raw cloud servers, Render abstracts that complexity away, and it gives you a simpler interface to work with. Listen, the main appeal of Render is balance. It sits somewhere between beginner friendly platforms and full enterprise cloud providers. It doesn't hide everything from you, but it also doesn't force you to configure every low level detail pretty much. So listen, the way this works is that you connect your code repository, and choose what kind of service you're deploying. And Render, handles the rest, builds, deployment, scaling, and restarts, every time you push code, your service updates automatically, which is really great for time saving, when it comes to that. And that alone, removes a huge amount, or like I said, of friction, for small teams and startups. One thing Render does particularly well is supporting back-end heavy projects. Listen, if you're building APIs, web servers, background workers, or internal tools, Render feels very natural. You can run persistent services, schedule jobs, and databases all in one place, instead of stitching together multiple platforms. And unlike, some front-end focused platforms, Render doesn't try to push you toward, a specific framework or workflow. It supports a wide range of languages, and runtimes. Node, Python, Go, Ruby. I've seen, Docker-based apps with pretty much, which makes it really flexible for different teams and use cases. Let me tell you that, another big advantage is how transparent Render is about what is running. You can see logs, restart services, scale instances, and manage environmental variables, without jumping through hoops. And for developers, that visibility matters. You're not guessing what's happening behind the scenes. Everything is laid out, in the open for you. That being said, it is, important to be realistic about where Render fits. Listen, Render is not the cheapest option at scale. Let me tell you, as traffic grows and workloads increase, costs can rise. Let me tell you, at that point, some teams move parts of their infrastructure to more specialized, or lower level cloud setups. But that is not a flaw, it is a trade-off for what you're getting. Let me tell you that it is worth it still. As you can see, the professional plan is starting at $19 per month, per user. The organization one at $29, and the enterprise one, which is custom. So let me tell you that Render optimizes for developer experience, and speed, which is not absolute cost efficiency, at a massive scale. So that is really fine, when it comes to that pricing. And also another thing to understand is that Render isn't trying to compete, with front-end platforms like Vercel, for example. They serve different purposes. Simply, Vercel shines, on front-end deployments, and edge-based sites. Render shines on back-end services. APIs, workers, and long-running processes, pretty much. And many real-world setups, teams actually use both. Front-end hosted somewhere, like Vercel, and back-end services, running on Render. So that kind of a modular stack, is very common now. Let me tell you, in 2026, Render fits really nicely, into how startups and small teams work. You want to ship fast. You want something reliable. You don't want, to hire a dev, ops engineering, on day one. Listen, Render gives you a way to run real infrastructure without drowning, in complexity. But yeah, who is render for? Let me tell you, it is great for developers, building APIs. SaaS backends, like I said, internal tools, and full stack apps, that need persistent services. It is also a solid choice for teams that have outgrown beginner platforms, but aren't, ready for fully custom cloud infrastructure, which you also got within Render, as you can see in this enterprise plan. But I also want to go through who it is not for. Listen, if you want to drag and drop websites, or if you want the absolute lowest, level control over, cloud resources you get for your business, Render might not be the best fit. Listen, it is opinionated, but that is intentional. But yeah, overall, Render is a practical, well-designed platform, that focuses on reliability and developer productivity. Listen, it doesn't overpromise, and it doesn't, pretend to replace everything. It just makes running modern backend services simpler, than it used to be. So yeah, that is Render, that'd be it from today's video. Listen, like I said at the beginning, this is really important. If you've got a business of your own and you want it, featured on this channel, contact me, hit me up, DM me, email me, whatever, and we can make that happen. So also subscribe to my channel, really helps me out a lot, to keep coming back with those videos for you guys. And yeah, see you in the next one, and peace.